Adepeju is a young, beautiful lady who lived in a village called Iwaraja, surrounded by hills. She looked beautiful and was full of life. But Adepeju had difficulty coping with being overweight, even though she was beautiful on the inside. Adepeju has had concerns about her weight ever since she was a child. She often sat outside and watched the kids in the village square play happily. The hurtful remarks made about her appearance overshadowed her laughter. However, she was self-conscious about her size, and she did not want to participate in any events involving her peers. Because of this, she became more inward, which resulted in her experiencing feelings of loneliness and isolation. The burden of other people's opinion prevented Adepeju from fully appreciating herself. Despite her inherent qualities, the villagers, who thought beauty was strictly defined by tradition, looked down on her and said silly things to hurt her feelings. The pressure that Adepeju felt to conform to the expectation of society increased as she grew older. Adepeju didn't feel like she fit in with her friends, who were hopeful about love and marriage. She felt like she wasn't worthy of love because of her size. Those who wanted to date her turned her down because of how she looked, even though she was nice and gentle. Adepeju felt loneliness more than ever, as if it were a wound that never stopped hurting. At social events like parties, she always sits and watches her friend have a good time. This happens whenever she goes on outings with her friends, particularly when they are talking and dancing. She was lonely and wanted to share her happiness with someone. She felt excluded even when she was with her family. While they were spending time together, her weight issue made her feel different from everyone else. The hateful comments were not the only thing that hurt her. She also struggled with her own feelings. As she went about her daily life, she struggled to accept herself in a world that seemed to be constantly criticizing her. At times, she would look at herself in the mirror in her room with the expectation of discovering something lovely hidden beneath her weight. There were times when she felt even worse about herself because she only saw the harsh opinions of other people in her line of sight. Despite the fact that Adepeju did everything in her power to maintain her strength, there were times when she truly considered giving up. It was so lonely that it seemed like it would never end. It was in her small hut, which she considered to be her safe haven, that she would seek solace during those trying times. It was there that she could get away from the discomfort and find some peace. Whatever the situation looked like, Adepeju always had a small amount of hope. It was a courageous flame that would not go out of style. She felt herself being inspired by the stories of women who had triumphed over difficult circumstances on a daily basis. Their strength helped her find her way through her problems. The stories that they shared inspired Adepeju to embark on a journey to discover who she was, with the intention of regaining her self-assurance and sense of purpose. She started to explore new interests and hobbies and learned more about the value of her upbringing and heritage. Adepeju found freedom that went beyond how she looked by getting herself engaged. Adepeju came to the realization that her value was not based on her weight or on what other people thought of her as she began to embrace her true identity. This came from her inner qualities and the kindness she had in her heart. The weight of the expectation of society became less burdensome with each step that was taken towards self-love. In spite of the fact that the world had attempted to dim her lights, she eventually stood tall and fearless, becoming a symbol of fortitude and endurance. After that, just when Adepeju was least expecting it, love came knocking on her door. Alani was a man unlike any other she had ever encountered. He was kind and compassionate, and his eyes were able to see beyond the surface to admire the beauty that was hidden within. Considering the stigmatization that Adepeju has been subjected to, she was initially hesitant to open her heart because she was afraid of being hurt once more. However, as she looked into his eyes and felt the warmth of Alani's embrace, she began to realize that this love was not like any other, that it was genuine and true. When Adepeju and Alani fell in love, they embarked on a journey of love and acceptance for each other. With each new morning, their bond grew stronger. In his arms, she discovered the courage to be herself because she knew that he loved her the way she is. At that moment, she came to the realization that she had discovered her true purpose, which was not as a woman constrained by social norms, but rather as a free spirit who was able to give and receive love without limits. The villagers heard about Adepeju, and she became a source of hope and motivation for everyone who knew her. Women of all ages looked up to her as a great example of strength and determination, and they found inspiration in her journey of self-discovery. She was a source of inspiration for so many women. Adepeju's journey wasn't over yet, though it was just beginning. She continued to face the challenges of life with grace and courage, knowing that she was capable of dealing with anything. As the days passed, she continued to face the challenges of life like every other person, but Adepeju was sure of herself and stood tall. She was thankful for the paths that had brought her to this point. She was sure that the strong will that had helped her get through the worst times would also help her deal with the problems that lie ahead. She was not defined by how obese she was, but rather by how strong her soul was. She had been able to make it through the most difficult stages of depression and into the most wonderful stage of love and self-discovery thanks to these strengths. Thank you for watching. For more interesting African tales, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Tales by Aduni. Until next time, stay blessed.